I still struggle to pick games to play, and I think that's the price I pay for having way too many. Since I'm back to achievement hunting, I decided to challenge myself to choose 30 games to 100% during the month of September. That would mean completing a game per day, which sounds crazy to me. Even with this challenge, there are still games that I want to properly showcase on the channel, so I made sure to not overlap those. If I end up failing this challenge, I will have to get to 100% on. So here are the rules. The games are chosen, I can't replace any of them. I can only play games that I have 0 achievements on. No shovelware. I want to play games, not pretend that I do. With that out of the way, let's start. The first game to start off this challenge was Air Memories of Old. Released in 2017 and developed by Forgotten Key, Air is an indie open-world adventure game that has been sitting in my library since December 16, 2021. You play as Hawk, a girl who can shapeshift into a bird. She is sent on a pilgrimage to the Land of Gods, where she must piece together the history of the world by exploring ruins in order to prevent the floating islands from being destroyed by the Void. With very few achievements, you can easily get all of them under 3 hours, and you can even watch some crabs dance. The hell am I watching? The game itself isn't difficult, and being able to fly freely is incredibly satisfying. However, the story itself is really incomplete even if you go out of your way to discover more lore. Despite that, I can say that I enjoyed my time with Air. It was a very short game, but I'm someone who really loves a minimalist art style and a very good soundtrack. It's just a bit sad because the game had potential to be so much more, and it's a shame nothing else will come out of it since Forgotten Key shut down in 2019. The challenge had just started and I was 1 for 1. The next game on my list was Etherborn. Released in 2019, it has been on my library since March 6, 2020. Developed by the also already shut down Altered Matter, Etherborn is an atmospheric puzzle platformer built entirely around gravity. The story revolves around a human body of sorts trying to reach a voice. Honestly, that's all I got from the story. I enjoyed my time with the game, I did. But that second level tilted me so hard that I had to take a 5-minute break from my already packed schedule. In order to 100% the game, you need to play it twice, which is something that I don't like. The puzzles do get harder, sure, but playing it for a second time wasn't something that I was eager to. It took me 2.5 hours to complete the game, thanks to some visual help along the way, because that second level really tilted me. The controls are good, the soundtrack is amazing, and if you like puzzles, I recommend Etherborn. One more game complete. 28 to go. 2 games in 2 days, and I think it's time to pick up the pace. I started the day with Venba, a very recent addition to my library. It's sat there since December 15 of 2024. Developed by Visai Games and released in 2023, Venba is a short cooking game about an immigrant Indian couple that is trying to settle down in Canada. The game revolves around the difficulties they face with a new language, culture, and lack of employment, and also the differences they have with their son throughout their lives. It's a very short but cozy game. I love the visuals, the quirky gameplay, and honestly, it made me quite hungry. Yep. And it's done. Next game was Florence, developed by Mountains and released way back in 2018 for mobile, and only making its debut to PC in 2020, it's set on my library since Christmas of 2023. Florence tells the story of, well, Florence. It's a story of her daily life until she meets Gris, and it depicts a story of growth and change in order to find happiness. Gameplay-wise, it's a simple collection of puzzle minigames with minimal input. It's about 30 minutes of a very short story, but it was a good experience nonetheless. And it's impossible to speak about Florence without mentioning Kevin Penkin. The man never disappoints when it comes to creating a perfect soundtrack, and once again, he delivered. That was it. Another game. If technically I was a day ahead, mentally it made me feel like I was 2 days behind. Yes, I was playing games and I was enjoying every second of it, but I was also juggling plenty of other things at the same time. So I decided to start probably the grindiest game of the list I put together. Plants vs Zombies. I'm not kidding. I remember being a very young lad playing this, and I spent a very long time playing it. Released back in 2009 and developed by PopCap, it's set on my library since the 4th of July of 2017. It's a tower defense game, there's no other way to describe it. You use plants, you take down zombies. Since I knew the game would take me a while, I decided to start another one in between to avoid getting burnt out of this one. So for that I played Botanicula, a point-and-click game developed by Amanita Design and released in 2012. It's also in my library since 4th of July 2017. It's as if I bought them on the same day. The game revolves around 5 creatures who are trying to save the seed of their home tree by solving puzzles and collecting items. The game is honestly fun. It brought back memories from being really young and playing a crack version of the game. Sadly, my version kept crashing mid-game, and as a responsible person years later, when I could afford to, I immediately bought the game, and the soundtrack really did an amazing job on bringing me back to those days. If you like point-and-click games with a bit of exploration, I recommend it. It's quirky, it's short, it's fun. Next on the list, I decided to tackle a Telltale game, because I love them and it has been years since I last played one, way back on my PlayStation days. I went for one that I haven't played at all. Tales from the Borderlands is on my library since the 22nd of December of 2016, and in addition to that, I've never played anything related to Borderlands. Being a Telltale game, I know it's going to last for a while, so in order to avoid burnout, I finished the first episode and played a little bit more of Plants vs Zombies, because I was also working on the Final Fantasy II video at the time. The Plants vs Zombie grind was not bothering me as much as I thought it would, so I kept playing some levels while I went on to play the second episode of Tales from the Borderlands. Another day, another episode of Tales from the Borderlands, and more Plants vs Zombies. Do you know those days where you are excited to do things but you don't because you are sick? That's me! I had zero energy to spare, so the only thing I did was sleep. Back on track, I was honestly bored with Plants vs Zombies because grinding for money is boring. On top of that, the minigames were kicking me senseless. And in order to relax from that, I played A Short Hike. Released in 2019 and developed by Adam Griu, it's on my library collecting dust since launch day. The game is about exploring a small island where you play as Claire, a young bird who is visiting the area. She wants to reach the summit of the local mountain so she can get some cell phone reception. You run around, you collect coins, you play volleyball, you fish, and you reach the mountain. It's a very short game, hence the title, but it's honestly quite fun. Last feather. There we go, final achievement. Or not? Huh? Oh, there we go. Another game done. Little by little the numbers were daunting me, but I wanted to play something that I missed dearly, and that was Machinarium. Another point-and-click game developed by Amanita Designs. Released in 2009, it sat on my library since the 4th of July of 2017. I was on a shopping spree that day. Machinarium is a game about a small robot named Joseph who was dismantled and sent to the scrapyard, and after being put together once again, he needs to go back to the city of Machinarium in order to reunite with his robot girlfriend. Like Botanicola, it was also a game that I played when I was a kid, but I never finished it because I was stupid enough to not understand the puzzles. The game is fun, short, and doesn't overstay its welcome. The soundtrack is amazing to the point where it's something that I often listen to while working. So, if you enjoy short point-and-click games, I completely recommend Machinarium. As I was trying to keep up a schedule, I was starting to fall behind on everything, both in my daily activities and in the challenge that I proposed myself. At the same time, I really got the urge to play Final Fantasy II and got a bit addicted to the point of forgetting about the challenge, until I took a small break from it and started the next game on my list. Dungeons of Winterberg was a very recent addition to the library, being added on the July 3rd of 2025. I didn't see anything about the game, not a single review, not a single piece of gameplay. The artwork alone from the Steam store sold me enough that I wanted to immerse myself completely blind. Developed by Microbird Games, an indie studio from Austria, the beginning of the game got me hooked to the point where I actually spent all night playing it and got only interrupted by my alarm clock, which at the time wasn't a very good thing. Dungeons of Winterberg follows Louisa in the small city of Interberg in Austria, where dungeons and monsters began to appear. The game feels heavily inspired by Persona with the dungeons and the relationship building, but at the same time, it gives a very cozy feeling that it was very refreshing. I felt like finally completing Tales from the Borderlands. I was trying to leave it for a little while longer, but I was enjoying it way too much and I was eager to keep seeing where the history of Rhys and Fiona will take them. The finale was everything that I was expecting, funny, packed with action, sometimes pulling a bit of my heartstrings, but always leaving me wanting more to the point where I wanted to start playing Borderlands. But I held myself back for the time being. Telltale did an amazing job and opened up the world of Borderlands to me, and now I really want to know more about it. And the credits rolling with my silver lining playing, that was so wonderful and so fitting to the adventure. Oh, this game is so good. This was so good. Man, I want to play Borderlands. So I got one Telltale game out of the way, so why not play another? Batman was the choice. It's been on my library since the 1st of January of 2017, and the last Batman game I played was Arkham Asylum, so I barely remember how it feels to be in the Batman game. And it's still a Telltale game, so I'll just make sure to enjoy my time with it and not rush it. 15 days to go and only 8 games completed, I was slowly convincing myself that I would have to add Yakuza to my list of games to 100%. But I'm a stubborn person, and I'm not mentally prepared to having to learn Mahjong and all the other casino type games that are in Yakuza. So with that said, I spent all day playing Final Fantasy II and Plants vs Zombies because although I'm doing this challenge, I won't compromise on not playing what I want to. I was so eager to play Plants vs Zombies that I completely messed up the recording settings and ended up recording the Steam overlay, but thankfully I finally finished the grindiest game on my list, and honestly, this was the last time I'll ever 100% Plants vs Zombies again because this was way too tiring. Finally! I was feeling so relaxed after completing Plants vs Zombies that I spent way too much time playing Final Fantasy II instead of focusing on the challenge. When the realization hit, I went back to Dungeons of Interburg. Played more Dungeons of Interburg, but to avoid burnout, I decided to take a break. So I played Blanc, released in 2023 and developed by Cajsa's Ludi. It was one of the most recent additions to my library, being added on July 2nd of 2025. Blanc follows the story of a wolf cub and a fawn after they get separated from their families, and the whole premise of the game is that you complete small puzzles and tasks in order to get them back together. Although I played it by myself, it's a game that you can play it with a friend, and it's honestly recommended that you do. I love the visuals and the soundtrack was really pleasant, and I did enjoy my time with it. However, the game is way too short, and in order to get 100%, you do need to play it twice, which is something that I wasn't very pleased with, since there was nothing new with it by playing it again. If Etherborn made the puzzles harder, Blanc doesn't add anything new to a second playthrough, and that's a bit off-putting. Nonetheless, I had fun. This game is way too gorgeous and way too adorable and way too sad. Played second episode of Telltale Batman, more Dungeons of Interburg, and started editing the Final Fantasy II video. Third episode of Telltale Batman, more Dungeons of Interburg, more editing. More Dungeons of Interburg, more editing. Finally completed Dungeons of Interburg. What a game! The 100% was something really enjoyable to obtain, and although it took quite a bit of time, it was a smooth journey. The social links were funny, the collectible part wasn't a grind since I enjoyed exploring every dungeon, and everything came naturally. Every side quest was enjoyable, playing around with the conduits was fun. Dungeons of Interburg is what I would really call a hidden gem. The game is really solid, and the more you play, the more fun it gets. The game was made with care, and you can tell that. The story was very amusing and everything connected at the end really well, and I can't wait to see more of Microburst games. Maybe they will expand on the dungeons with a new game or start something completely new, but wherever they decide, I'll be sure to pay attention because Dungeons of Winterberg was an experience I really enjoyed. And not only I finished Dungeons, I had a couple of hours to spare, so I continued with Batman. I only meant to play episode 4 but I wasn't able to put the game down, so by the time I realized it, credits were rolling. Choosing between how to handle situations either as Bruce or Batman was a good way to make me want to replay the game in the future, choosing the opposite of what I chose now. Yes, the end result will still be the same, but the storytelling was, as usual, really enjoyable and something that really pulled me in. And Telltale did an amazing job of making me want to play more Batman, just like they did with Borderlands.
Just minutes ago, Bruce Wayne delivered a rousing speech that turned into a shocking assassination attempt on his life.
He sure does clean up well.
Wow.
See you soon, Brucey.
Now I want to play Season 2. Crazy. I came to the realization that trying to juggle between doing videos at the same time I was doing a challenge that requires me to play video games while also juggling non-gaming related things was a bit of a mistake on my end. But I don't care. And with only 1 week left and 18 games to complete, the challenge was looking dire. So I had to lock in. I decided to play Beacon Pines. Developed by Hiding Spot and released in 2022, I got this game at launch as a gift. But I never looked at it because I was a bit addicted to Dead by Daylight. Beacon Pines is a cute adventure game with a bit of horror added to the mix. And it's not really horror. It's more like a daunting feeling. The game revolves around a storybook where words are missing at certain points, and filling the blanks with words you find during the story shapes the story itself, meaning that you write it. The concept is really amusing, and the cast of characters is really well put together, and I have to give credits to the narrator Kirsten Mize because she sold the story amazingly well. In the end, the game was really fun. The 100% revolves around finding the words to certain contexts and a minigame. You don't really need to go out of your way to do it, which was a plus because it didn't really break immersion from the story, and it's a game I truly recommend. This feels so sad. Like, what the hell? I wanted the happy ending. Happier. Well, that's another. After Beacon Pines, I moved on to play A Case of Distrust. I'm a sucker for detective books. Growing up, that was the biggest genre I had available in my house, so I always had a soft spot for games of the kind, and A Case of Distrust really pulled me in. Released in 2018 and developed by Van Wander, A Case of Distrust is a narrative game where you play as a private investigator. Magnum PI, but in the 1920s. The visuals at first are a bit weird to the eye, but the more you get pulled in with the narrative, the more you start to enjoy them. Granted, it's not for everyone, but I did like it. It was unique and allowed me to completely focus on the story and trying to solve the mystery. After all, we are investigating a murder. A few of the achievements are missable because they are connected to the evidence you gather throughout the story and how you use them to interrogate people, but they are not exactly hard to figure out. Overall, A Case of Distrust is a short game, but the narrative was well put together, and any longer, and it would be more cluttered than a well thought one. I'm glad I got the chance to play this, but it saddens me a bit because I still haven't found a similar game to scratch the itch. This was really fun. I really liked it. The sun was still out, so it was time to play something that I always enjoyed but never got to finish. Firewatch artwork has been my desktop wallpaper since the day it came out. Developed by Campusant and released in 2016, Firewatch was on my library since the January 1st of 2017. It's often called a walking simulator, and although I do agree that the entire gameplay revolves around walking, the narrative itself is deeper than it seems. You play as Henry, who started working as a fire lookout due to life circumstances. While on the job, you start to unveil a mystery. What brings all of this game together is a strong story, beautiful art style, and an amazing job of the voice actors who brought so much to the table in this game. And now, I can't really wait to see what Camposanto is cooking next, because if it's anywhere near what they did with Firewatch, it's going to be amazing. After a very fulfilling day of playing 3 different games and enjoying all of them, I had a bit of a groove going, and I made the decision to kill it by playing Unpacking. Developed by Witchbeam and released in 2021, Unpacking sat on my library since the 11th of November 2023. The best way to describe it is you unpacking your life. You go through the years and see how much your life changes, and you unpack and organize different sections of your current house. It's a very zen experience until you get to the point where you need to put things in the exact correct place, which killed a bit of the immersion for me because I thought I could decorate as I pleased, which wasn't exactly the case. It bugged me a bit to the point of the very zen experience quickly faded. Maybe in a different state of mind and playing it on a course of several days, I might have enjoyed it more for what it is, but at the end, it didn't really click with me. Time for the next game, and I chose Jusant. Developed by Dontnod and released in 2023, it got added to my library in the 6th of October of 2024. Being a Dontnod game, I already knew that visually it will be a very good looking one. After all, Dontnod makes beautiful games. Jusant is a puzzle climbing game with tons of lore while you climb. It's amazingly fun. Trying to figure out the best way to climb the several environments and actually pulling some weird shortcuts feels truly rewarding. And you have the cutest pet with you. Jusant doesn't tell you anything about the story, and for you to even understand it, you really need to grab the collectibles, which is a nice touch since you get to explore and practice your climbing. Visually gorgeous, beautiful soundtrack, fun gameplay. Jusant completely blew my mind. Most of the time, climbing is one of the worst mechanics that any video game can add, and yet, Dontnod pull it off amazingly. It's a short game, but it's very worth playing. It's over. Now I just need to pet my little furball to complete it. I'm gonna miss this little guy. I picked up the pace and I was enjoying my time with the games. Next on my list was The Suicide of Rachel Foster. Developed by 101 Games and released in 2019, the game sat on my library since the 27th of October 2020 and can be called a walking simulator just like Firewatch. But unlike Firewatch, the whole narrative leaves a bad taste in my mouth as the story is about walking around an hotel that gives an awful eerie vibe, as if I was in The Shining and discovering what truly happened years ago. And it wasn't something nice since it's a story about grooming and suicide. Visually, the game is gorgeous and I truly enjoy the soundtrack, but after spending quite a few hours into it, the whole story really turned my stomach.
I'll stay here with you, Daddy.
I don't like this.
We'll bring back the Timberline to its fortune together.
I really didn't like this.
Happy again, all together. Yes. Like a whole family. No more anger.
After that, I needed something else, so I picked up Virginia. Released in 2016 and developed by Variable State, Virginia sat on my library since 25th of December of 2023. Despite being a game, I consider this more of a visual experience than anything else. You play as the recent FBI graduate who climbs the ladder within by investigating your own colleagues. However, like I've said, this is more like watching an interactive movie more than you playing a video game. But don't get me wrong, Virginia is beautiful, with an amazing soundtrack and a captivating of show and don't tell type of story. Honestly, it's hard to put into words what Virginia really is, but whatever it is, it stuck with me. I found myself thinking about what I've just experienced, and the only thing that bothered me while getting 100% during this interactive movie was the fact that I had to watch it twice. While knowing the end, replaying it made me notice subtle things that hinted earlier how it would end, and maybe that's why the achievement to play it twice exists. But again, I would prefer to do it again on my own volition instead of doing it for an achievement. Virginia is something that I do recommend though, but only if you are into sitting back, listening to an amazing soundtrack and just observe. Five days left, 11 games to go. Surely I can do this. I started the day with Gris. Released in 2018 and developed by Nomada Studio, Gris is on my library since the 7th of April of 2020. By this time, everyone knows Gris, and for the ones who don't, Gris is a platformer that depicts the story about grief. It's about a girl who loses her voice and the colors of her world, and it's about a journey to recover them by going through the stages. The exploration was rewarding, the puzzles weren't hair-pulling as they had enough of a challenge, and the platform sequences were fun. The art is gorgeous and the soundtrack is amazingly beautiful. I can't recommend it enough. After dealing with a depressing story, I decided to pick up something light. So I started Lake. Released in 2021 and developed by Gameus, I got Lake on December 25th of 2023. Lake is a game where Meredith, no, not that one, takes a break from her career as a software developer and returns to her hometown. Here, she replaces her father at the post office and you interact with the locals. You deliver cards, packages, reunite with old friends, and fall in love. In just 2 weeks. Atta girl, Meredith. Although fun in the beginning, the whole stick of delivering things gets a bit stale over time, and the only thing worth noting are the interaction with the locals. Even though the post office is what you do daily, the game is all about the connections you make. The game is gorgeous to look at, and it's an overall an amusing experience that just may not be for everyone. Nonetheless, I did enjoy it enough. I just didn't like the fact that I had to replay the ending part, which is about 20 minutes, 2 more times to get 100%.
Sorry for butting in, folks, but I've got a special treat for y'all. I just updated my playlist. This new song is from our very own K. Evans.
Next on the list was Hoa. Released in 2021 and developed by Scrollcat Studio, I got Hoa on the 2nd of July of 2024. Hoa is a puzzle platform game. Visually, Hoa kept reminding me of Studio Ghibli. The colors, the animations. It's a beautiful game. It's about returning back to the origins. It has a simple gameplay, the puzzles are easy. Hoa shines on its visuals and soundtrack. It's a very short game that you complete without even noticing. However, you keep getting lost on its beauty and simplicity. To finish the day, I got back to Telltale. This time, the one that launched Telltale to another level, The Walking Dead. Released in 2012, I bought it on November 26th of 2016. It's one of the oldest games in my library, and with good reason. If I'm being honest, I played Season 1 plenty of times in my PlayStation days, so it was bound to actually do it on my computer. I ended up playing 2 more episodes of The Walking Dead because I love Lee way too much. Moving on, I decided to play The Gunk. Released in 2021 and developed by Image and Form Games, The Gunk was another game acquired on December 25th of 2023. It's an action-adventure game where you play as Dhaane, a space hauler. You crash into an unknown planet and you discover an older civilization that has been covered by gunk, and by clearing it, the planet starts to heal. The game is simple. You explore, you discover some lore, you suck some gunk, you solve some puzzles, retreat and repeat. It's nothing revolutionary, but nonetheless it doesn't have to be. For what it is, it's a well put out game and you can easily lose track of time playing it. After finishing The Gunk, it was time to play one of the games that I've been eager to play ever since it came out. Death's Door was released in 2021 and developed by Acid Nerve. Everything about the game got me really curious, and I finally got it on the 2nd of July of 2025. The visuals, the overall theme, and the gameplay lured me in. You play as a crow who works for the reaping commissions and you need to, well, reap souls. I was enjoying it a lot until I realized that I needed to start working on the Sleeping Dogs videos, so I had to take a break. Played episode 4 of The Walking Dead, more Death's Door, and started another game. Even though I already knew I probably failed the challenge, I was still going to try my absolute best, so it was time to play Jack Moves. Released in 2022 and developed by So Romantic, it's on my library since the 6th of October of 2024. Jack Moves is a cyberpunk RPG heavily inspired by Final Fantasy, or so I think. The story is funny, the gameplay is fun, the game is really fun, although short, but I spent a magnificent time with it. Did you notice how many times I said fun? A lot, because the game is really fun. It was so fun that even though it's not necessary for the 100%, I did all of the side quests. That's how fun the game was. So if you are looking for a fun RPG and you want to spend fun times, play Jack Moves. It's over already? I finally completed Death's Door and I have no words to describe how amazing this game is. It's challenging, fun, immersive. It's very addictive. Playing with only the umbrella made it harder, but after trying the other weapons, they just don't feel right. Only the umbrella did. Umbrella supremacy in here. That store captivated me so much that it entered my top 3 games that I played this year. The gameplay is fun, discovering the world is fun, like the combat is fun and addictive, the soundtrack is amazing, everything that I love in a video game is present in here. And this is a game that I will replay. Don't know when, but I will for sure replay it. Man, I love this game. I also completed The Walking Dead. I couldn't see much of the last 15 minutes because my vision got blurry for some reason. The story of Lee and Clementine is one of my favorite pieces of media, and I'm so glad I experienced it again. My poor heart didn't enjoy it, but I did, and for sure I'm going to replay it once again as soon as I can. The DLC is also very good, and it brings a nice connection to Season 2, which makes everything better. I'm going to replay this for sure. I need all of them in camp. To finish the day, I played Serial Cleaner. Released in 2017 and developed by Draw Distance, it's a game about cleaning crime scenes without being caught by the police. It's on my library since the 21st of November of 2021, and it was not a game that I enjoyed. The old gameplay is enjoyable at first, but after the first couple of hours it becomes stale, and some of the achievements are more dependent on RNG and not skill. The more I played, the more tilted I got, which made me play way worse. In the end, I got all of the achievements, but it's not something that I will play again. I just hope this works. Please work. Ah, thank you. Finally. Ah, hallelujah. Coming on the last day with 3 games left, I was actually thinking that I will be able to pull this off. To start the last day, I played Hellpie. Released in 2021 and developed by Sluggerfly, I got it on the 8th of February of 2024. Hellpie is an old school 3D platformer where you play as Nate, a demon, and you need to collect ingredients to make a pie for Satan's birthday. Visually, the game is a reminder of the old school platformers, but I do have to confess that some of the themes in some levels did make me a bit disgusted. The movement of the game feels amazing. The more abilities you unlock, the further you can traverse, and you can discover more of the map, to the point where you can go from one point to the other in one simple swing. It's a pure collectathon, and I do recommend it if you do enjoy the old school platformers. Next game on the list was Batora Lost Haven. Released in 2022 and developed by Stormmind Games, Batora is a choice adventure game mixed with RPG elements. Gameplay-wise, the game is fun. The combat is truly engaging and it has depth. I couldn't fully enjoy it because, although I was having a good time, the story itself didn't quite stick with me, which made me simply want to move to the next thing as quickly as possible. Technically, you would need 2 playthroughs to complete 100%, but by making choices and loading an old save file, you can skip an entire playthrough, and that's exactly what I did. I wouldn't do it if I did connect with the story, but I really didn't. I wish I did because the combat, the atmosphere, the sound design, everything clicked, except the story. The game itself, it's really gorgeous, the soundtrack is on point. It's just a shame that the story didn't click with me. Finally. And to finish, that was it. I finished Batora at 10 PM and the last game I chose for the challenge was Chicken Police, that is supposedly to have a 10-hour game time. I could try and find ways to skip things or take the most shortcuts, but no challenge is worth not enjoying a game. I'm sure that some of the games that I play may have stuck with me differently if I wasn't doing the challenge, but I don't regret doing it because I've played plenty of games that I wouldn't at all if I had started the challenge. So I guess I'm going to have to learn Mahjong on the streets of Kamurocho. The month of September was mind-blowing. I don't recall having so much fun playing video games as I did, and experiencing so many titles from so many genres was so much fun that really brought me back to my childhood. Doing my normal daily activities and the challenge at the same time, while also playing Final Fantasy II and Sleepy Dogs on the side for the channel, was a bit messy. But it was something that I really enjoyed doing, and in the end, something that I'm eager to do again. This year, I was inspired by so many creators, and I'm so glad that I met them and got to speak with them plenty. I'm also glad that I connected with so many different people, and I was able to speak of these pixels on the screen that plenty of people love. And for that, I'm grateful. I'm also grateful for every single person that supported me in the videos since the beginning. I never thought that I will have more than one person watching any of my things, but here we are. And for that, I thank you. If you watch my whole journey, thank you so much, and I hope to see you on the next one.